From the shadowed vaults of forgotten history, we unearth the tale of the Seer's crown, an artifact whispered about in hushed tones by scholars and madmen alike. It was not forged by mortal hands, but rather it is said to have coalesced from the crystallized tears of a forgotten god, shed in a moment of cosmic despair. The crown itself is a twisted, thorny circlet of a strange black metal that seems to drink the light. At its center rests a single milky white gem, opaque and cold to the touch. It is within this gem that the future's echoes are said to reside, a siren's call to those who crave certainty in a chaotic world. Our story begins in the kingdom of Eridor, a prosperous and vibrant realm blissfully unaware of the shadow that was about to fall upon it. King Theron, a just and beloved ruler, was the first to hear the whispers of the crown's power, brought to his court by a mysterious hooded figure. The stranger, who called himself the Oracle, claimed the crown could grant Theron the foresight to avert any disaster, to secure his kingdom's prosperity for all time. He spoke of famine, plague, and war, all of which could be avoided with but a glimpse into the tapestry of fate. Theron, ever the protector of his people, was tempted. He saw the crown not as a tool of power, but as a shield against the cruel whims of destiny. Against the advice of his most trusted counselors, he accepted the grim gift, placing the cold circlet upon his brow.
The first vision was a torrent of fire and screams. He saw a neighboring kingdom, their supposed allies, launching a surprise attack on Eridor's northern border. The images were so vivid, so real, that he could smell the smoke and taste the ash. Shaken but resolute, Theron acted upon the vision. He reinforced the northern garrisons, and when the attack came, just as the crown had foretold, Eridor was ready. The invaders were repelled, and the kingdom was saved. Theron was hailed as a hero, a king with a divine gift.
But the victory was a hollow one for the king. The whispers of the crown had begun, faint at first, like the rustling of dry leaves. They spoke to him in his waking hours and haunted his dreams. The visions came more frequently now, unbidden and fragmented. He saw glimpses of a coming plague, the faces of his subjects twisted in agony. In response, he quarantined entire districts, his actions seeming tyrannical and paranoid to those who could not see what he saw. The people's love for their king began to curdle into fear. Then came visions of betrayal from within his own court. He saw his most loyal knight, a man who had fought by his side for decades, plunging a dagger into his heart. The line between what was real and what was a possible future began to blur. Paranoia became Theron's constant companion. He trusted no one. He executed the knight, a man who, by all accounts, was the epitome of loyalty. The court was thrown into turmoil, and the seeds of rebellion were sown. The whispers from the crown grew louder, a cacophony of voices screaming warnings and prophecies. Theron could no longer distinguish the future from the present, the real from the imagined. He would wander the halls of his castle, muttering to himself, his eyes wide with a terror no one else could see. The kingdom of Eridor, once a beacon of prosperity, began to crumble from within. The crops failed, the people starved, and the nobles plotted in the shadows. Theron, the king who had sought to control destiny, had become its pawn. The end came not with a bang, but with a whimper. Theron, in a fit of madness, saw enemies in every shadow, assassins in every reflection. He ordered his guards to attack each other, believing them to be disguised traitors. The ensuing chaos was a self-fulfilling prophecy of the kingdom's demise. In the end, Theron was found alone in his throne room, the crown still on his head. He had taken his own life, a final, desperate act to silence the maddening chorus of the future. The crown, its milky gem now seeming to pulse with a faint, malevolent light, fell from his lifeless brow and rolled across the cold stone floor. The kingdom of Eridor fell into ruin, its name becoming a cautionary tale whispered by grandmothers to frighten naughty children. And the crown vanished, taken from the rubble by hands unknown, destined to resurface throughout history, a harbinger of madness and despair. Centuries passed. The story of King Theron and the Mad Seer's crown became a myth, a dark fairy tale. But the crown was real, and it was patient. It passed through the hands of ambitious sorcerers, desperate warlords, and scholars who sought forbidden knowledge. Each new wearer believed they could master the crown's power, that they could control the visions and avoid the descent into madness. They were all wrong. The crown's curse was absolute, its price non-negotiable.
One such wearer was the Lady Alara, a scholar of the arcane who sought the crown to prevent a catastrophic magical event she had foreseen in her studies. She was brilliant, disciplined, and believed her strong will could tame the crown's whispers.
For a time, it seemed she had succeeded. The visions came to her as ordered, clear and concise. She used the knowledge to avert minor disasters, her confidence growing with each success. But the crown was merely biding its time, learning her fears, her desires, her weaknesses.
The whispers began subtly, twisting her own thoughts against her. It showed her visions of her colleagues betraying her, stealing her research. It showed her the magical cataclysm she sought to prevent, but with her as the cause.
Her disciplined mind began to fray. She became secretive, paranoid, pushing away those who cared for her. She saw plots and conspiracies everywhere, her own research becoming a tangled mess of paranoia and fear. In the end, Alara, in a desperate attempt to prove a phantom conspiracy, unleashed a powerful and uncontrolled magical spell. The resulting explosion destroyed her tower and claimed her life, a tragic fulfillment of the crown's twisted prophecy.
The crown, unscathed, was found in the wreckage, its gem seeming to mock the devastation it had caused. It was clear that the crown did not simply show the future. It actively shaped it, twisting the threads of fate to ensure the wearer's demise. And what of the monsters, you ask? The crown's influence was not limited to the minds of men. The psychic turmoil of its wearers would often bleed out into the world, attracting and corrupting the creatures that lurk in the dark places of the world. During King Theron's reign, the forests of Eredor became infested with grotesque beasts, their forms twisted into nightmarish parodies of nature. These were not natural creatures, but rather manifestations of the king's growing madness. The people of Eredor had to contend not only with a paranoid king, but with the very real monsters that his madness had spawned. The kingdom was besieged from within and without, a testament to the crown's all-encompassing curse. So what is the nature of the crown's curse? Is it a malevolent entity, a sentient being that feeds on the sanity of its wearers? Or is it merely a powerful tool, one that the mortal mind is simply not equipped to handle? Some scholars believe that the future is not a single, immutable path, but a chaotic sea of possibilities. To gaze into it is to be overwhelmed by an infinity of choices, a tidal wave of information that shatters the fragile vessel of the human mind. Others whisper of the echo, a psychic residue left behind by each wearer. They believe that the crown does not just show the future, but also the madness of its past victims. Each new wearer is not only battling their own sanity, but the tormented spirits of all those who came before. This grimoire's echo, as we call it, is a psychic scream that reverberates through time, a constant reminder of the crown's terrible power. It is a chorus of madness, a symphony of despair, and it is a song that, once heard, can never be forgotten. The Mad Seer's crown remains a chilling legend, a dark jewel in the treasury of cursed artifacts. It is a story of the seductive allure of power, the fragility of the human mind, and the terrible price of knowing what is to come. For in the end, some doors are best left unopened, and some futures are best left unseen. Yet, even now, in the darkest corners of the world, treasure hunters and power-hungry fools search for the crown. They are drawn to its legend, blinded by the promise of ultimate knowledge. They do not understand that what they seek is not power, but a gilded cage of their own making. The crown waits. It is patient. It knows that another hand will eventually reach for it, Another mind will dare to challenge its curse. And when that day comes, the echoes of the grimoire will have another voice to add to their tragic chorus.
The tale of the Mad Seer's crown is a stark reminder that some knowledge is too heavy a burden for any mortal to bear. The future, with all its terrors and wonders, is a book that should be read one page at a time. To skip to the end is to invite madness, to trade a lifetime of moments for a single, soul-shattering glimpse of the inevitable.